Hold on. I want to make this one. All right, y'all boys. Look, this that Spy Kid shit. I grew up on this Spy Kid shit. I ain't gonna lie to y'all boys. This damn near the hardest shit out. If you don't look, I remember I was hella young. I used to watch Spy Kids all the time. This was my favorite one though, cause it had the little vehicle shit. That shit was hard as the fuck. I hold on.
The Spy Kids franchise has become synonymous with the early 2000s. Clunky CGI, cartoonish humor, and unhinged storylines. The movies never took themselves too seriously, but they perfectly captured the spirit of their era. When Spy Kids 3D wrapped up the trilogy in 2003, audiences felt it was the right place to end off,
Damn
and that it
near.
was time to let the series rest.
Man,
But Hollywood just isn't ready to let go. When Robert Rodriguez set out to make the first Spy Kids in the late 90s, he went in with a clear vision. Create a story that felt like it was straight out of a child's imagination, that would not only be enjoyable for younger audiences, but make them feel empowered. He had grown increasingly burnt out with his more violent, adult-oriented work, and felt that family movies were a neglected genre at the time. Rodriguez wanted to make a refreshing kids film that could entertain any age group without being condescending. The whole movie feels like a little kid's creative dream. I really wanted to make it like a child created this movie.
that's
The
raw.
idea for the thumbs in the movie were even based on a drawing he created when he was 11 years old. Robert was so passionate in his vision that he wore every hat while making Spy Kids. Director, writer, composer, production designer, he had his hands on each aspect of the film to ensure that it all came to life exactly how he pictured it. Studios were somewhat skeptical about having two Hispanic leads, worried that it might only appeal to that demographic.
Okay, I came up with an argument. This is
They're
me.
Hispanic. I'm gonna be honest. I thought the niggas was white. They got red hair. I'm a listen. Do you see what color I am, nigga? I got dread. I got all type. I'm black. Okay, look. Well, I'm Native American, but me and my sister we stay watching this shit 24/7. This is my favorite movie. I ain't gonna
You don't
lie.
have to be British to enjoy James Bond.
This shit was
No.
raw.
So yeah, by making
This
it
is
that
this is literally the kid version of Mission Impossible. I'm
specific,
gonna be honest.
it
This
becomes
shit was
universal.
heat.
But in the final product, his passion was reflected. Spy Kids released on March 30th, 2001, and it was an instant hit in
Man,
nearly every way. Commercially, the movie managed to gross $147 million on a budget of just $35 million, and it was generally praised by critics and families alike. While the
that's
visuals were
good
a little
shit, boy.
shaky even for the time, they suited the childlike dream
I'll be honest. That the visuals from when I was a kid, I thought them bitches looked real as shit. She fell through the thing. Mind you, I'm big as shit as a kid. I'm like, if y'all see a pic, if y'all go on my Instagram, y'all know I'm tall as fuck. Like when I was a kid, I was a big ass baby. I was a big nigga.
aesthetic Robert
So that shit
Rodriguez
hit
was
me
going
up.
for,
Oh
and
my god.
despite its playful surface, the film took a surprisingly mature approach to its messaging. Critics appreciated that the characters were charming but realistically flawed, and that it delivered a heartfelt ending with themes centered around family, forgiveness, and growth. Respected critic Roger Ebert gave it a glowing review, awarding the
I fuck with
film
it.
a 3 out of 4 star rating.
For me, Spy Kids is brilliant. It's one of the most alive and wonderful and visually inventive and beautiful and
Like
exciting
Spy Kids. Though. I
movies
love
I've seen
Spy
in a
Kids.
long time. It's not too scary for kids. It's certainly not ugly. In fact, it looks great.
It wasn't for everyone, but Spy Kids was without a doubt something special, and sequels were only inevitable. Spy Kids 2: The Island of Lost Dreams,
This one was hella good. This one where they was at the weren't they at a Christmas party? I'm pretty sure.
which came out the very
That was a
next
good. That
year,
was
was
good.
another
That was
success. In a
good.
lot of ways, it stayed true to
I
what
might
worked
have
in
to
the
watch this
original, but
tonight.
also cranked everything up a notch. More
Nah, them
visual
niggas not.
effects, larger scale, and more complex themes.
Think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
Some thought the movie relied too much on CGI and green screens, but overall the reception was warm. Most people who saw it felt it was a strong follow-up to the first Spy Kids and wanted to see more. Rodriguez maintained his do-it-yourself production style, which allowed him to keep the budget cheap once again, and he would spend the same amount of money on the next entry 1 year later, which would be his most ambitious film yet. Spy Kids 3D was a major departure from the first two movies. Robert abandoned the emotional depth and mature storytelling in favor of a gimmick. He wanted the movie to be a full 3D experience, which meant writing scenes specifically to have objects fly out at the audience. The 3D concept was a fun idea, and not a lot of theatrical releases were doing it at the time, but in practice it overshadowed the story and left the film feeling hollow. Most of the duration was spent in a video game world, so it was incredibly heavy on visual effects by comparison to 1 and 2.
Him right here, he raw as fuck.
Some younger viewers, it was their favorite in the series, and they simply
to me this was my favorite one.
enjoyed the colorful spectacle. But the general public was somewhat disappointed with its lack of substance and an over-reliance on ugly.
Oh, the next one, Spy Kids 4, I'm pretty sure whatever it was. I guess it's their kids. That was
VFX. Still, whether or not people enjoyed the film, it filled out seats, making almost $200 million, cementing it as the highest grossing movie in the series. By the end, almost every previous Spy Kids character made an appearance, and it very much felt like a send-off for the franchise. The family came together in one final moment, and it seemed like the end. And for years, it was. Until it wasn't. 8 years later, the trailer for Spy Kids All the Time in the World would be released with a different cast, and this time Rodriguez had a new vision. He didn't just want to revive the franchise, he wanted to reinvent the theater-going experience. And what's more immersive than a 3D movie? A 4D movie. With the marketing for Spy Kids 4, they introduced a concept called Aromascope. It was a scratch and sniff card with 8 different numbered scents, and when the movie would play in theaters, numbers would flash on the screen, prompting audience members to scratch the corresponding number and smell it.
Whenever you see the flashing number on screen, simply scratch that number on your card to unleash a symphony of sweet, tantalizing scents that will make you feel like you're right there in the movie.
Similar to Spy Kids 3, they wanted to bring interactive movie-going experiences back to cinemas, and the fourth dimension was bringing...
I'll be honest, look. I wasn't poor. I was a plastic spoon type of nigga, not plastic spoon type of kid. I was nowhere near poor. Like even now, I'm way more spoiled. Like props to my mom, nigga. I would never say I can't. No, nigga. It was a. I have to talk about that more in later. But anyways, nigga, when I watched that shit from Redbox. Y'all know what Redbox is? Redbox is that's the Netflix for niggas like me. Not niggas like me. That's just the Netflix for the old, I don't know, Redbox. You just get the movie, return it. We stopped doing that shit after we tried to motherfucking take the movie out. It was a cardboard shit. That's a TikTok idea. Thank you.
These scents ranged from bacon to dirty diapers, and yet again, he would write this concept into the scenes. Some were skeptical about the Aromascope and thought it seemed gimmicky.
Just because kids might be like, oh great, I can smell poop on this, that doesn't mean it's a good idea. There's not going to be an Oscar for best use of Aromascope next season, and that should be your first clue that you shouldn't have even come up with the idea at all.
But when the movie hit theaters on August 19th, 2011, the issues ran much deeper than a scratch and sniff. As audiences around the world watched the film, it became clear that it wasn't just the actors that had changed. For most, All the Time in the World just didn't feel like Spy Kids.
Nah, I fucked with it hella heavy. I like the little death
cartoonish characters and wonky visuals, but it lacked the charisma, clever jokes, and overall charm of the originals. Because of the Aromascope gimmick, the movie was littered with toilet humor, having more fart jokes than all the other Spy Kids combined.
Hold my finger.
There were still some good messages present, but most of the heartwarming moments fell flat for general audiences. This use of Aromascope lends nothing to the movie but a stench of desperation. It's a trick designed to liven up a series that's already running close to empty. Now he's back with a fourth, and sadly it's all fart jokes and smart aleck preteens, the stuff that can make taking kids to the pictures a chore. Originally, Rodriguez didn't want any of the original cast to return, but due to studio interference, he had to cram Carmen and Junie into the script, who really didn't serve much of a purpose in the story. They tried to reboot the franchise without building on what made Spy Kids special, and it ultimately felt like a parody of itself.
My parents can't be spies. They're not cool enough. Our stepmother's a spy? Impossible. She's not cool enough.
The aromascope was a novel idea, and Robert Rodriguez still had creative control, but the film felt more like a cash grab than a true passion project. It had the worst box office performance, grossing $85 million, and nearly everyone agreed that it was the weakest entry yet. Spy Kids worked in the 2000s, but times had changed, and there just wasn't much of a demand for this kind of movie. Surely, the studio had learned their lesson. Flash forward to 2023, and Spy Kids was back once again, this time around as a Netflix exclusive reboot. Robert Rodriguez returned, but he didn't
No, I don't think I watched this.
just direct the film. He co-wrote it with his son, Racer Max, and
What the? His son? Boy, you son of a... I ain't even gonna go there, boy, but that's
brought in
something
his
else,
other
I'll be
kids
honest.
as crew members. It was admirable to see him making a movie in a franchise all about family with his actual family, but because it was Spy Kids, it would end up bringing in longtime fans of the series. Fans who were not pleased with how it turned out. Your favorite franchise either dies pure or lives long enough to get insufferably self-referential. The movie was a full reboot with a completely new cast, which meant it could go wherever the studio wanted it to, but it amounted to exactly what fans feared it would. A watered-down Netflix original with nothing to add. Spy Kids Armageddon didn't just struggle to say anything new, it ripped most of its pages straight out of the originals. It repeated the same tired shtick of a brother and sister who find out their parents are secretly spies. The villain is a tech mogul named Regis who uses a video game to take control of everyone's devices around the world. Characters from the game world enter the real world, and characters from the real world end up fighting in the virtual world.
Isn't there a game? Why did I think when I seen this shit, I thought it was I forgot what they called, but I don't know why I'm thinking of Miles. I think that might have been the little nigga's name. But it was a nigga who could speed up time and a girl could slow down time, I'm pretty sure. But the kids basically, right, they get power, they get superpowers. And I guess they have to help their parents who also have powers, but they don't at the same time. But the kids have powers, and they're watching them. It's on Netflix. I don't know what it's called, but I just thought about that, and that shit was kind of raw. I'm gonna be honest. I fucked with it kind of.
Just like Spy Kids 3. The dialogue was flat, the visuals were flat, and it managed to shift even further away from what made the originals great. It briefly made the Netflix top 10, but didn't last long, and compared to other Netflix kids titles, the performance was underwhelming. Still though, Rodriguez has confirmed that he wants to make sequels, and maybe it will only go up from here. At this point, it seems like Spy Kids has become a shell of what it once was, but it's possible that Spy Kids was a franchise that could only work in the era it was released in. There was an animated Netflix series in 2018 that switched things up slightly and was less offensive than any of the newer movies, but it wasn't super popular. The Spy Kids movies were always